Hello, starlings.
Welcome to Twin Stars, the show where cosmic wisdom meets everyday magic.
We're your hosts. I'm Jamie, astrologer, hypnotist, Akashic record reader, and the mystical CEO behind the House of Mage. I help you align with the rhythms of the moon, rewire your inner world, and awaken the part of you that was written in the stars and etched in the records of your soul.
And I'm Josie, astrologer, artist, and self-proclaimed chakric pagan. I create custom tarot portraits that alchemize your sun, moon, and rising sign into visual spells of you and for you. I'm here to host you at my hearth of ritual and remind you that magic lives in every breath, every moment, every heartbeat.
We created this podcast to guide you, our fellow starlings, through astrology, energy, and the unseen forces shaping your life.
So, wherever you are, take a breath that travels all the way down to your roots. Feel the earth holding you. Steady, ancient, alive. Now, bring your awareness to your heart. Feel its rhythm. Feel its wisdom. Let it soften. Let it open. You are safe. You are seen. You are sacred. Let's begin.
Josie, it is soon to be Leo season. What is the vibe check? What is going on with you?
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I feel like a sense of sort of relief coming on that is, I had a heavy Cancer season. It felt like a lot of work, a lot of self-work. And I'm just ready for like a more jubilant vibe. And I feel like that's what's coming. And I think as we talk through it all, we're going to see that that's correct. I'm really ready for it. I need this playful season to commence now. I've done my work. I've done my summer school. Now it's time for some fun.
Play. Yes, let's play. My Cancer season has been exceptional. I think that the reason that I have not been as emotional as past years is because I've spent a lot of time with my mom. We went traveling to Spain, beautiful country, beautiful trip. And because of that, I think I got a lot of that like Cancer feeling, and especially with it being in Jupiter, which is in my ninth house of travel. Like I think that it was like hitting a lot of other boxes rather than that emotional upheaval, which I normally experience. But nothing makes a Leo happier than Leo season. And it's kind of interesting because I think that like when I was younger, I didn't really identify with being a Leo all that much. It was the time when believing in cusps were really like a thing. And I no longer really believe in cusps. It's either like you are that degree or you are not. That's how I
Mm.
look at it now. But I have the very last degree in Leo. So it's the 29th degree, the anaretic degree. It can be a little heavy. But additionally, like I have so many other placements in Virgo. I've got like my Mercury, my Venus, my MC, that was like really coloring the way that I was interacting with the world, how the world wanted to
Mm.
see me. So because of those things, I just didn't feel like my most Leo self. And like when you're younger too, I feel like your moon sign is so much more of what you are. And as you get older, you become more and more of your sun sign. So like in the true fashion of Leo, and as I'm getting older, I am just feeling that happiness to be a Leo. Whenever it becomes Leo season, I just feel like totally illuminated. I feel like the world was created for me, but not just for me. I feel like every single human being should feel like that. I feel like every single person is a star, and that every single person is a god or goddess, and that they are here to shine and to be in presence, and we are supposed to receive their presence. And there's nothing more exciting for a Leo than Leo season. uh,
Absolutely true.
That said, I know that we are going to be embarking on this is the new moon in Leo episode that you've prepared some like really amazing things for us, especially like with the way that you do your practices. And that I would love to hear about like your interpretation of the season.
Yeah, I absolutely love to kind of string together different uh, myths from various parts of the globe. There's so many common global themes in the Northern Hemisphere for paganism and for astrology as well. And so I kind of string together like a chakra, a concept of a chakric cycle and indigenous lunar references from Turtle Island, and always a bit of modern druidry in there because I love that 8-spoke wheel of the year. So, a quote from Llewellyn's Sabbath's Almanac, I think, really speaks to the season upon us in this Leo season and Leo coming at the Leo new moon. It says, "The land smolders beneath piercing heat of punishing solar crown. The groan of abundance heralds the reaper's blade as the shadow of death creeps across the horizon."
So goth.
So goth.
The way it's like Leo season into like Virgo, but it is so goth.
Oh, it's a bit heavy-handed for Leos. Well, no, nothing's heavy-handed for a Leo. So I'm sure you can appreciate how it sort of brings up how there's all this abundance and there is a crown, but it's a bit punishing because the heat gets so intense and the work level gets turned up to 150, but the celebration level gets turned up to 150 also. So it's sort of the work hard, play hard dynamic going on during this time of year.
And so also like the kind of Grim Reaper kind of image
Mhm.
too. That reminds me just like of Pluto and Persephone, as Persephone is like one of the images or like icons for Virgo season. So it really feels kind of like that transitioning into that next cycle of harvest. So cool.
Mhm. Yes, and that's also what's beginning now in the Wheel of the Year. It's the sixth Sabbath at August 1st. So that follows the Leo new moon this year. And that transition from the fifth Sabbath at the summer solstice to the sixth Sabbath at August 1st is like that sort of turning point where it's the heat's turned up all the way and it's about to start waning again. It's the last hurrah of like push and heat and buzz, and we're gonna have it for the whole introduction to a long harvest season that just gets quieter and softer as we move into fall and winter. So that August 1st time frame is, well, the holiday from modern Druidry, from Celtic traditions, would have it as Lammas, which means loaf mas. That has to do with that first harvest of grain and being able to make bread again for maybe some time after not being able to make any if you ran out of grain. But this concept of like gathering uh, supplies that you haven't had access to or that you've worked really hard on since the winter solstice, and actually starting to reap some benefits from those things and being able to produce and having mass amounts of things in general. That concept of the groan of abundance. It's like it's heavy, but it's abundant, so it's not a burden.
Yeah, and I mean, abundance too. It's just like that having that prosperity vibes. Like, I think that there's nothing more important now in manifestation culture than abundance and prosperity. So, knowing that there is a Sabbath that's kind of really like gearing us towards that hard work that we put into it, now we get to reap those benefits, and that we're going to have like a lot of goods. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're going to have a good Christmas, folks.
It's gonna be a good Christmas. If you start now with your envisioning for all of the harvest season. The other term for Lammas from the ancient Irish traditions would be Lughnasadh, which is the gathering of Lu, and Lu is the god of many skills. But why he's gathering is because he is set to celebrate his foster mother every year on August 1st, as she was the primal earth goddess Taltu, who died from exhaustion, clearing the plains of Ireland to make way for agriculture. So it's an honor of her. It's a celebration of hard work, but the hard work led to death. And so it's a very much like all about those two extreme energies, but they're, again, it's like two extreme energies turned up to 150.
And I'm sure that there is like something good going to come out of all of this hardship that they had to experience.
Of course, that's true. I think over time in the British Isles, and you see like a really strong resilience in culture and surviving famine and surviving plague and getting through hard times. And that was like natural, and then it became more related to, societal issues. So that energy from that area of the world is very potent on just really like celebrating the wins. And you see it across a lot of indigenous tribes of North America in ways that they honor berries and like sturgeon abundance, and there's all different kinds of like ripe moon, fruit moon, strawberry moon. Black cherry moon is my personal favorite name for the moon that will be, it's the new moon Leo, but it's the full moon Aquarius. So that's referred to as the Black Cherry Moon by the Assiniboine, who referred to themselves as Nakadabi of Lake Superior region. That Black Cherry Moon, it was like, that's when they had an abundance of berries and abundance of cherries. And you recognize, at this first harvest, you recognize things by color often, like you're foraging for things, you're finding mushrooms in the woods, you're harvesting berries, and you're using your sense of sight a lot during this time of year. And it's all about sort of making good decisions based on what you're taking in visually. And that's what's really cool about the first harvest too, is it's sort of nuanced and, like wander through the woods rather than just cut everything down and get it into storing form. And you're tasting things and things are coming off the tree fresh. And using your sight to do that brings us to the concept of like the chakra that I would correlate with this, which would be the third eye chakra. It's the sixth chakra known as Ajna.
I was just gonna say, I was just like, all this sight, this totally like is leading into the sabbat correlation. Like it was like as
Yeah.
you were describing it, I'm like, oh my God, this unfolding. I could see how you get so excited about these things when you're like doing this, because you're just like everything is just so divinely woven together.
It's so connected.
It
Yeah.
really is so connected.
Yeah. And that goes for, again, with like understanding the world through sight and building that energy in yourself at this time is totally a good time to be doing so. There's another tribe in the Pacific Northwest called the Tlingit, and they would call this moon Mountain Shadows moon. That brings us back to the like contrast between light and dark, and it's also really a strong reference to using our sight again to recognize what's going on around us, know that the season's changing based on how the shadows on the mountains are changing. And the woman who's my favorite book about chakras is called The Wheel of Life, I believe. And she has a quote that just like reminds me of that mountain shadows moon honor. And she says, from the dawning of ages, darkness and light have intertwined to bring us one of the great gifts of consciousness, the ability to see. And so that's again like why I really like to think about my third eye and show gratitude to the gift of sight, whether it's like cosmic sight or on earth, real life looking and seeing things. um, that's the things that we can really channel right now. And we can see that a lot of people over the years have done the same in channeling that energy and honoring that energy and being showing gratitude to it.
Josie, thank you so much for all of that insight. It's really exciting stuff. And I just love how it's your interpretation and folding so many things together. And but it's always a reminder too of the past and what's been created. And I really love being able to hear about these things, assimilate these things, so that we can have a well-informed present day. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
This episode being the Lunar Royals, crown yourself at the new moon in Leo. One of the things that we need to do is honor this new moon. So, with a Leo new moon, there's always going to be a regal emergence. It's about a creative rebirth and heart-led power. So, whenever we do have a new moon, that energy is primarily an emerging energy. It's instinct, it's sacred beginnings. It's like the 0 point, the nothing was there. But also, we're bringing in the Leo energy, which is fixed fire. It's ruled by the sun, and the sun can be kind of self-centered. So, like one of the shadow aspects is self-centeredness. But when it comes to Leo itself, I always like to think of the fire signs together. So I think of Aries as a firecracker, and out of nowhere, it's like bam, it's got this spark and it's a flash in the pan, it's here and gone. And that's that cardinal energy of initiation. When it comes to fixed energy, it's going to stay. It's going to be long lasting. It's going to be stubborn. So that's where that bonfire imagery is really a great image for Leo, because it's got warmth. People are going to hang out around it. They're going to want to be around it. But also I think that there's like also an imagery of a lot of shadow when it comes to like hanging out around a bonfire. Like in the front, you're illuminated, but then there's like a lot of shadow behind. So
Mm.
always kind of careful balancing those energies. And then when it comes to Sagittarius, Sagittarius is that energy where it's going to find whatever it needs to fuel the fire. So it's kind of more of a forest fire, just like rolling through. It can't be contained. It's just going to like be forever free. And so in this Leo season, I think that it's really important for us to ask ourselves what wants to be seen, where are we being or where are we being asked to lead in our
Mm.
lives? And then how can we dramatically align ourselves with our hearts? Because, during this Leo season, it is not hard for anybody to get in that self-centered, me kind of space. So it's like if we can actually focus this energy in a positive, kind of really sovereign leadership position, I think that's a much better offering.
I just love that the bonfire thing is so solid for multiple reasons. It's like the fixed energy is there and you have to, that's a weird question, right? Like what is fixed fire? Literally, that's perfect to kind of express fixed fire. And then also the light on one side and dark on the other with that Leo ego and like finding a balance between humility and pride and all of that kind of stuff too. So it's really a perfect analysis of the fire energy that Leo brings.
Oh, yes. And it's very, very warm when you're like on its
Yeah.
good side, standing near it. But on the bad side, you don't want to, no, we don't do that.
Uh-huh. So regarding like all of that Leo energy that we've been talking about, do you have like a personal reclamation story as a Leo sun that you want to tell us about?
Well, it's so interesting because I feel like I am in my like Leo reclamation era like right now. And it has to do with this podcast because I was just not living up to my like Leoness in a lot of ways. I always like blamed it on having the Scorpio rising, and then I go by whole sign houses. So like my moon is in the fourth house. That's like your most private house. That's like your home. That's like the part of you that like no one sees. It's kind of like you doing like your like little routines that like truly no one else is looking at. Like it's
Mm,
that space. So like with your moon being in there, like the feelings, it's like I like to be really protected, but I do have that Leo sun, and I needed to pull myself out of my cute little cozy home and put myself out there so that I am being creative, that I am being seen, that I am
mhm,
offering things, because I do have things to offer, just like everybody does.
mhm,
And um, I think that it's really, really fascinating when I have looked at astrology charts of people that have died, and like their chart just comes together. Like it just makes so much sense. Like when the
mhm,
life has fully been completed. But like looking at my chart and seeing like what it was, I was like, oh girl, you need to like step this up, and you need to like stand in your Leo glory, and you need to put yourself out there. And this has been the perfect opportunity to do that. But also I really feel that Leo is very like playful. I think it's kind of associated with play, but out of the signs, Gemini and Leo have a tendency to be like the more childlike signs. And so this play and being able to like kiki with like a bestie, like there's kind of like nothing better than like us getting to like get together and like make potions and make little grimoires regarding it. Like this is just like the best thing ever. So through this podcast, that is my like reclaiming of Leo. How about you, Josie? Like, what is your reclamation?
I love yours because of how much it is about like who you are and to the core with the sun in Leo. Um, I felt very devoid of Leo energy, but I've always been, for better or worse, super close with Leos. And as an Aquarius sun, that does make sense. We get along because of that nice opposition energy. But then we don't get along because of that opposition energy sometimes. So my process has really been interesting because it started out when I was younger, having really like volatile relationships with my Leo friends. And my dad was a Leo, and we had our own volatile relationships in the past. But now, um, I have set boundaries with Leos over and over again as I grew up. And now I have these incredible relationships with Leos. One of them is my friend who is a really good friend of mine, but she's also my boss now. I work for her nonprofit organization, and working for her has just been the most awesome experience in like just growth and challenge and doing something I want to be doing in the world. So that's like sort of one of the Leo things. But now this has been the second thing that's happened. And it's doing this podcast with you, and you're a Leo who just really nourishes me and doesn't we don't butt heads. We just really are able to use that opposition energy to balance each other out. So it's just so cool now, especially because in January I was at an astrology retreat and the Leo energy was flying. And I kind of embraced that I have the Pars Fortuna in Leo. And I was like, I think I'm finally ready to acknowledge that like Leo is ruling my 10th house. So I need to find playfulness. I need to shine in the career that happens from here on out. And so this Leo season right now is kind of the same for me as it is for you. It's like this podcast is Leo reclamation at the height. It's the peak of it. And here we are doing it.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, we both have the Leo in 10th house, so that career move is like definitely stepping into ourselves.
Yeah. I know that we're going to be getting here to the practical magic part. Josie, do you have something a little prepared for us today?
I do. Practical magic, crown yourself, new moon ritual. This is a ritual of self-love and abundance appreciation. I love to recommend that you get yourself a crown to do it. This one's made out of paper roses that my mother-in-law made for my wedding, and I use them for all kinds of fun things. She made several hundred. It was incredible.
They're
So
beautiful.
that's a crown of blue roses. You've got your starry crown. Um, any crown goes, but I'm also a part of my crown is that tiger's eye for the Leo season. And crowning yourself can even be a part of the ritual, the action of it. You can put it on as a step in the ritual. So once you have settled in and arranged your space, and if you'd like, put your crown on, you want to sit in front of a mirror by candlelight. You'll anoint your heart with oil or flower essence. Jamie and I are going to use rose water. She told me that's what she likes to use for Leo season. And then I was like, yes, as you see, I like roses for Leo season also. So I'm going to use rose water as well. And then you write a royal proclamation of your own, an I am spell, a spell that says who you are, who you're proud to be, and who you want the world to see. You want to speak it loud and then bury it or burn it. I'm going to give you a Leo new moon invocation that you can use if you'd like to, or you can write your own. It goes, I am that, and that I am. I embody vitality and radiate inner light. I lead with love. If you want to share your crowning moment with us on social media, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us messages on Instagram, comment on the video here today. We'd love to hear from anybody who's out there practicing. We also have a downloadable ritual companion in the show notes that goes along with this ritual and the concepts of the Leo new moon and Leo season.
Yay, I love it. And with that, I feel like we should talk about like the transits that are here to come for the new moon to new moon, because Josie and I really kind of treat the new moons as if like they're new months. We're just like kind of layering a new thing on top of the Gregorian calendar and honoring the cycle from new moon to new moon. Um, Josie, is there anything specific that you actually like do on new moons? Is there like any kind of like journaling or like a thing that you always do on a new moon?
Um, Not always the same. It depends on the season, but like the bath is a big one for me in the winter and spring usually. It's a meditation where nothing's happening and I completely clear the space. So when I do these like rituals that are new moon wishes or manifestations, I'll do those a day or two after the new moon to get that building, waxing energy into those wishes. But the new moon itself to me is a time to really just stop and take some time in that meditation where you're not doing anything, whatever that is for you. Whatever, if it's a bath, if it's, sitting. I like to do Buddhist style meditation too, because that's been something where I really learned how to do nothing for a period of time. And I just think that's the most appropriate way to honor the new moon itself when it's actually happening.
That's crazy because I literally do the same thing, of
Mhm.
course.
Of course.
um, but I really like to sit and like not have any like I might like light a candle to like set the space, like to invoke that sacred space and that divine. But I like to sit in silence too, because I always like to think about the new moon, or like the moon and the sun coming together. And
Mm-hmm.
like when the moon is full, they're opposite, and there's like just a lot of like that mirror energy happening, but it's the sun's light that's being reflected. And
Mm-hmm.
so I like to think of like the earth, the moon, and then the sun. And it's almost like the earth and the moon are like cuddling together, and we don't normally get to hear her message because she's always busy reflecting the sun's like
Mm-hmm.
propaganda. And now this is our time to just be like, what do you say? What are your feelings? What do you
Love that.
feel? And the only way that you can really hear that is if you're quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to just like sit in that space. And I too don't do it every time, but whenever I am gonna do like a new moon, um, like little thing for myself, it's always a silent meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. So cool we do the same
So
things.
cool. It's that reset button, you know? It's not making wishes, it's not making plans, it's not reviewing harvests. It's just a like blank space.
Totally. 0 point is like what I like to
Zero
call
point. I love that you call it 0 point too. Yes.
it. Okay, so I would really like to talk about the transits in
Mm-hmm.
this time. So like new moon to new moon. And as I talk about these things, there's no way that we could ever maximize and experience all of these things. Like, no matter what kind of notes you take, or like how much you want everything to, like, oh, I'm going to do this ritual on this day, like, that's just not realistic. But I do think that it's really a good thing to just be kind of mindful of like what the weather is. And I really like to pay attention to the transits because it's like catching stars. So it's like if a star is shooting past you and you just happen to have like a net and you're like, oh my God, I can just catch it. And then you can just hitch a ride, like that's how I see these transits. Sometimes you're able to catch it, sometimes you're not at all. But like, don't necessarily try to be like Lisa Simpson with this. It's just not that kind of game. Okay, so
Absolutely.
don't be that.
Okay.
Uh, so the sun is going to be, and I'm going to give all of these dates in the north, or in the US, because
Mm-hmm.
time change and different things that can get a little complicated. But in the US, generally, all of uh, all of these things are going to be happening on these dates.
Mm-hmm.
So the sun actually will ingress, so we'll move into Leo on the 22nd of July. So that's when we are like in full force of Leo season. And then 2 days after, that's when the two are going to come together and we're going to have that new moon. So like Josie suggested, maybe waiting like a day to do the ritual companion that we have provided. That could be cool. Or you could do it right on that day. It doesn't really matter. Magic doesn't have as many rules as we want there to be. As I'm also going to describe these things, I'm not going to go through every single transit because there's just so many, and I don't think that we need to be that inundated. But I'm just going to talk about like ones that I find to be kind of exciting because, like, why the hell not? So during this time, we are going to have Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is going retrograde. It is in Leo, and it's going to start going retrograde on the 17th. So it's if you don't know what
So it's
Mercury retrograde,
already retrograde.
yes. Oh yes. Because of the time when this comes out, it's going to have already started being retrograde. So yes, thank you. And if you don't know about my Mercury retrograde, you've been living under a rock. But it's something that happens about 3 times a year. It's about 3 weeks each time. And it's the time for us to uh revise, revisit, reconsider, recalibrate, all the re words.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Mercury itself, Mercury is our has to do with our intellect, how we communicate. It has to do with merchants and selling things. So this is why when you're in a Mercury retrograde, really the most important thing is just to have some patience, because people aren't going to say things maybe in the best way. Maybe you're not going to say things in the best way. Maybe the email and the text isn't going to go through. Maybe if you're trying to like buy a new car, there's stuff contractually where it can get a little sticky. So really just have like a lot of patience for yourself during that time.
Mhm.
And when Mercury is retrograde, it looks like it's moving backwards from the perspective of where we are on Earth. It never actually does move backwards. But what is or one of the really exciting moments of Mercury retrograde, um, or just like really exciting moments ever, is when a planet and that in the sun conjunct. So when they come together, and we call that a cazimi. So in astrology, when any kind of planet is moving closer to the sun, it combusts. So it actually
Mhm.
it loses its powers underneath the rays of the sun. And it's almost because the sun is illuminating so much power that it's like burning the power. And so it's like kind of getting weaker and weaker, whatever planet it is. And then when that planet and the sun come together and it is an exact conjunction, we call that a cazimi. And that's referred to in the heart of the sun. And in
Mhm.
those moments, it's almost as if the sun is amplifying whatever that planet is associated with. So even though during this retrograde period, there's going to be a lot of revisiting communication, during this time, you might experience some like divine downloads. So just be really open on the day of July 31st, because that could be like a time where things really come through and you get to experience that Kazemi energy.
So what I'm thinking about as you talk about all of this is that really interesting burning energy is there like kind of in the new moon too, because it's like the sun is burning through the moon, that because the moon is as close to the sun as it's going to be, and it is like getting closer to us, and it that goes back to like that bonfire feeling of like we're holding the moon and the bonfire is there, and the earth and the moon are like watching the bonfire together during the new moon. But that really applies to the Leo season, and I just feel like all this sun energy is really coming together in these concepts of like the Mercury Kazemi happening, and well, the new moon on July 25th, then the Mercury Kazemi on July 31st, and Leo season beginning on July 22nd. It's just like all of this really interesting sun energy building up together in just in time for Jupiter and Venus's
Little rendezvous. Yes,
rendezvous.
yes, their rendezvous. But before that happens, on the 9th, on August 9th, we have full moon in Aquarius. So, that's your full moon. So
Yeah, that is
that's
my full moon, and I always love it.
oh, I love that. I love it too because my moon is an Aquarius moon. So it is my
Hmm.
full moon
Such a
too.
good, we have the best balance there. So, yeah, you have your moon in Aquarius, I have my sun in Aquarius. And then your sun's in Leo, and my Mars Fortuna is in Leo. So that's again like going back to when you build relationships with people, a lot of times you'll find a lot of opposition, and we have it in Scorpio, Taurus, and in Leo, uh, Leo, Aquarius, and that fixed energy is like, I think people who have fixed energy really feel good around other people who have fixed energy.
That's 'cause you're like, I'm stuck the way I am. Like I can't change
Yeah.
this.
And that
Stuck.
full moon in Leo is like really like we are who we are kind of moment. Or I mean that full moon in Aquarius during Leo season is totally like for everyone, we are who we are kind of moment. Be yourself. Um, but I think when you have placements in Leo and Aquarius, you feel those full moons more, of course.
Yeah. Well, and I always like to think of Aquarius as kind of like the outsider. So, it was traditionally ruled by Saturn. So like
Mm,
Saturn also rules Capricorn. So like that hard work, putting in the time, you're gonna work up that corporate ladder. You're gonna be
mhm,
goat at the top of that mountain. Like you are gonna persevere when no one else does, and like really establishing that structure. But the way that I like to think about Aquarius is more of like you were never on the inside. You've always like Saturn has given you
mhm,
boundaries. You live outside of those boundaries. And
mhm,
in that way, what it's like to be kind of cast away, weird, not a normally acceptable person. And that you're kind of creating this whole entire world so that everyone fits in, so that no one has to fight for a place at the table, but everyone deserves a place at the table just because they exist. So, really, that underdog kind of, renegade energy. I think Aquarius is just it's a cool sign.
It is.
It's
I
really cool.
mean, of course it
Of course it is.
is. So like with that Aquarius full moon, of course it's my favorite because I'm an Aquarius. But the energy of Aquarius in there, and that's true with every full moon, it's all about that opposition and that balance between the sun and the moon and the reflecting. And I think like the nice thing about Aquarius is that it does reflect Leo really well. So that full moon to me has always just been a time for people to, and then with the way Aquarius is, being good with boundaries, but being outside the boundaries and being so independent, um, that aspect is a part of like really being who you are in this time of year and really honoring who you are.
Let your freak flag fly. Fly.
Exactly. Aquarius loves a freak flag.
Oh, don't we all? Or we all should. Um, and then what we have going on the 11th is that Mercury is going direct. So from July 17th to August 11th, Mercury is going to be retrograde that entire time.
Mm,
So during Mercury retrograde, that is a time that I like to do an Akashic record reset. So I like to go into the records and any kind of like kerfuffles that I've experienced, any kind of things that didn't go well, I like to like keep a journal and I like to go back and kind of fix them as if they were to work out. So if I had an argument with someone, that I meet them and I actually resolve the argument, or maybe it doesn't happen, or maybe like whatever that incident that would have sparked it, I go and I kind of like clean up the residue.
mhm.
And it's a fun little thing that I've been doing. So if anyone's interested, I give Akashic record readings, but I'm also thinking about creating maybe like an audio if people are interested in that, put it in the show notes that you'd be interested in that, because I don't know, it could
Mm,
be cool for more people to like, rather than this Mercury retrograde being like a time of terror, maybe we use it to like just bolster ourselves to be incredible.
yeah,
uh
reboot.
yeah, let's reboot. And quite literally.
Yeah.
And then it on the 12th, this is so after Mercury is out of the microwave, that's what we call it in the retrograde. So Mercury
Yeah.
leaves the microwave on the 11th, and then the 12th, that is when Venus and Jupiter are coming together. And to me, this is like the cute shit moment of like the entire new moon to new moon cycle. And when I think of Jupiter, I think of like the really hot guy. And I think of Venus as like that really beautiful girl, that bombshell. And they're together and they have just invited you onto their yacht and everyone can come.
Love
And
it.
and because it's happening in Cancer, because they're meeting up in Cancer. Like Jupiter, it's exalted. It is very happy to be in Cancer. And then Venus, being the planet of love and money and just like a relationship, it meeting up with Jupiter, the sign of abundance and growth, it can be like a really amazing time. So I think that on that August 12th time, pay attention because the two best planets, the benefics, Jupiter and Venus coming together, that is just like amplified. But then on the shadow side, because nothing is just one thing, you know, there could be too much of a good thing. So just
Mm.
be kind of mindful because I know that Jupiter is always like, yay, we love it. It's so, so good. But like sometimes it can like really make things grow that aren't feeling that great. So just pay attention to that. And then on the 22nd, we have the sun moving into Virgo. And then that following day, we are at the Virgo new moon, which
Mm.
I cannot wait for. The next episode that we're going to have, what is it called?
Yeah, the new moon in Virgo is going to be Sacred Order and Everyday Magic. Very excited about that one. It's like
So,
necessary energy for me.
yeah, and Sacred Order, it's a beautiful thing. It's really beautiful.
Hmm.
But now, because we're like getting into the future, now let's bring ourselves back to this now moment. And there's nothing
True.
better to do that than like some oracle cards.
I have oracle cards that, as I said in the first episode, I pick an oracle card from one deck for each lunar cycle, and I pick an oracle card from a different deck for each uh, sabbat. And so for the Leo new moon, I picked um, the Raccoon. And these are cards I pick at the beginning of the year. And then during this cycle, this lunar month, I use Raccoon energy and I honor Raccoon energy to get me through the waves and waves of the season was upon us. So the Raccoon is from a Kim Cran's Animal Spirit Guidebook. And I love raccoons so much.
Oh my
And
God.
that card is um the card that I picked for the moon cycle between the new Leo moon and the new Virgo moon. And I love it because raccoons are all like talented, shadowy, in hiding. And that plays off the energy that I was talking about with Lughnasadh earlier, like the god of all skills kind of thing, the god of many skills. A raccoon is sort of like a little totem of many skills. They are very dexterous, they're super smart, and they are foragers and scavengers, which is also the same thing of that first harvest energy when you're like finding what you need and hustling a little bit. And they have this like happy, playful energy too, the way they all hang out in groups and they sound like kind of they're laughing. And so I just really liked that the raccoon was the card I pulled for this time in August when everyone's kind of out rolling around in the streets, hanging out, eating food off the street corner. And having kind of like generally a good time. And there's like the hustle, but it's like an excitement and it's a fun kind of hustle and it's sort of like an adventurous kind of feeling that the raccoon I think really provides us. And
And
then the
that
one that
in
oh
the
yeah.
busy in that busy time of year, like I feel like summertime is when people really want to go out. Like it's so funny that you said like the cackling because I just like imagine like you just went out with a group of friends, you're kind of like a little more tipsy than you want to be. There's like no street meat. You're like, okay, I'll take that hot dog, like you normally wouldn't eat that kind of like trash food, but you're like, yes, this is the best thing ever.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that is just like such raccoon energy.
Mm-hmm.
That
Such a
happens, I mean,
raccoon.
that can happen any time of the year, but it happens a lot more in that like summertime, I feel like.
For sure. It does. And then the other one we have is it's gonna be this talisman, which is a key. The key is the drawing and the talisman is the word. And this is from Marcella Kroll. She does Sacred Symbols tarot decks. I really like her a lot. And she has just super basic symbology going on, which I really appreciate. But the talisman represents new doors opening. And it's specifically like you're unlocking the doors. So they were closed tight and locked before, and now you've got this tool to get through to the next thing. And I like that a lot for Lamas Lunasa because it is sort of like you've toiled in the concept of paganism. What we're honoring is that we worked really hard, we planted seeds, and now we're opening the doors to our harvest. And if we have the key, we're going to open the doors to an abundant harvest. So I thank you, Marcella, for giving us the key for this next season and this door opening to the harvest, which is 3 seasons long, essentially. In the Wheel of 8, the harvest is from the 6th to the 8th.
Very cool.
So those are the 2 I pulled at the beginning of the year to sort of guide me as I navigate the year. And of course, we like to do one at the end. And this is the deck that I'm using this year. It's a Wild Unknown Alchemy deck by Kim Kranz. I use a lot of her decks in general. And so I'll pull a card for us that we haven't seen yet each time we do an episode. And this one, we're pulling the card for the episode of the lunar crown, the concept of the lunar crown. So that's the energy I'm thinking about as I ask the deck, what should we be bringing into this crowning, this coronation, this new moon that is definitely stepping into our own. And here it is. We got the Drowned King, which is really interesting.
Oh my
I'm thinking of going from like Cancer season to Leo season is like an interesting transition. Leo is its dark side is the ego, like you said earlier. So this Drowned King is going to have to do with like finding humility and kind of finding a balance in the Leo energy that is about like maintain the playfulness and let go of the ego is what I'm thinking we're getting from this one.
Yeah, it looks like very like it indulge too much kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like don't let like the good times kill you kind of.
And maybe don't let the hard work kill you either, because
Yeah.
our goddess was sacrificed.
Yeah.
Our
So
Taltiu has already given her life for work, and it's time to step back and uh, enjoy the ride a little more, maybe.
nice. What does Kim Krantz have to say about it?
Yes, let's see what she has to say.
She does make
So, Rex Marinus, the Drowned King, ego collapse, losing faith, and humility. I'm going to read a little bit of it. In alchemy, the archetype of the king is often used as a symbol for the ego, the aspect of the self that is attached to its title, name, and identity. It is said that the Drowned King is a required phase in the process of transformation. Only through dissolving who they thought they were is the king able to become who they are destined to be, a kind and benevolent leader.
Wow, perfect.
I like it.
Right on.
Maybe he falls off the yacht and gets rescued.
Yeah, he was having too much fun at the party.
The sun's falling off the yacht. Jupiter and Venus will pull him back out. It's gonna be fine. Little humility goes a long way.
Yeah, because alcohol and water do not always go together very well, so we need him out fast.
Throw the donut out. Get him back in the boat.
Oh my God, so perfect.
Thanks for floating in the stars with us today. If something sparked, stirred, or lit you up,
Share the magic, leave a review, follow the show, and invite your friends to our celestial circle.
you can find me at Basic Witch on Instagram, where art, ritual, and witchcraft meets soul expression.
I'm at House of Mage, where the moon is your mentor and magic is our method.
Until next time, starlings.
Live like a Leo, crown yourself with light, radiate your truth, and lead with love. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.